Hi, I'm CC, or online I'm Kijimi Typhoon, and here's what I think about the substance. It was crazy, insane, and wild. I was not expecting the ending that it gave, but I know it's supposed to be like some type of metaphor for like drug abuse and getting like plastic surgery and stuff, and just the whole message was just to be yourself. And honestly, I just didn't like the way it ended. And that's what I think about how I feel about the substance.
So we are in that hot weather season, and I know many are trying to get that summer body together. At this point, you're in the middle of summer, so I don't know if it's a lost cause if you don't have it together or what. If you're still struggling with it or you got it together. Either way, the summer body is a thing. So the substance saw that some months ago, and I thought I'd just drop some thoughts on that movie. Definitely spoilers ahead. I don't have recall all the details of the movie, but there's a lot of standout moments in this movie. Definitely has a strong sci-fi vibe to it. It's all about beauty. It's all about vanity and the lengths we go to have that beauty and all the things and all the trappings that come with it. At this point, Demi Moore's character, she's at that age of retiring. She still looks good, of course, for her age, but of course, the network, I guess the team over her show, which is a fitness show, and the one guy in particular who appears to be the boss, he's kind of a jerk. He shows her love in her face, and then he tries to say she's a hag behind her back. Looks like he has some work done on his own face, but he's not looking that spring chickenish himself. But it's funny how the double standard is between men and women when it comes to that. Anyway, he's looking for the next best thing to replace her. So, I'm sure she's depressed, she's down, and instead of him finding the next best thing, she's going to become the next best thing. And there's some commercial about the substance, some type of special offer, and it's a little ominous. It's like I really don't know exactly what I'm doing or getting into. Excuse the fireworks, guys, if you hear that, but let me see what this is. Let me see if it can save my career. So, sometimes you have to do something like Ozempic to get that body, I remember the diet pills and the weight loss pills and the caffeine pills back in the day growing up. I remember Weight Watchers, and they also had like some other weight loss centers you can actually go to lose weight. They had a lot of things. Some people go to drastic measures. Some people detox to the point that it's unhealthy. Some people just don't eat. Some people go through anorexia and bulimia, which is an actual real condition, and I do feel for them, and I hope that they get therapy and what other help that they may need to combat that. But it's a lot of things around weight, ladies, especially we kind of get the brunt of having to look perfect and having to look a certain way. So sometimes you have to go through extra lengths. I know you've heard that phrase, beauty is pain, the high heels and the tight corsets and all the things over time that women have done to look a certain type of way. And Demi is no exception, except this time she has to do some things that I feel are a bit unimaginable. I'm not even sure how this replica of her appears. I assume it's like kind of a younger version of her, but not. And basically, it's some fluids that has to be exchanged, pod particles that have to be placed in at certain times a day. I feel like it's amnio fluid or fluid from the spine that has to be, it's like some major surgical looking crazy stuff that she has to do. in order to be this other person. It's like she's switching bodies, a bit of a body snatcher, right? So it's like she's herself, but another entity at the same time. Pretty crazy, right? And part of her is like kind of depressed, and the older part of her feels like she almost doesn't have a purpose. I mean, she has an opportunity to go on a date. The guy's not that awesome, but she kind of wants to, but she ends up not going, feeling bad about herself, staying in the house, just feeling like she has no more value as this older woman. But she's still beautiful, she still has it, but this younger entity is kind of taking over. And if you need extra days to be the younger, or I'll say more beautiful, fit version of yourself, then you have to extract fluid from that other being, from your source self. I know it sounds complicated. And use that fluid to give you some more days. So it's like a week on, week off type of thing. Week on, you get to be beautiful, and week off, you go back to what you normally looked like. And so, of course, with work, she had so many days to shoot. And so it was times where she would have to use the fluid, her own fluids, to stay young and then switch the body back to hers. But at some point, it was taxing. She wanted to be the young one, kind of took advantage of the older one, who was the source person, and with, hooking up with guys and just partying and just not wanting to ever be old again. She just like took advantage of her, kept taking her fluid to the point where her original version of her became damaged. At times she would take the fluid from her back, and the fluid would look all rancid and just sick and old, but she would keep taking that fluid and using it anyway, day after day. The younger version was like taking advantage of the older version. I mean, I think it's a lot of metaphors that we could connect with this. I guess how older people can be seen and misused in society, maybe how we can feel about ourselves as we age, and maybe even a part of ourselves, the vanity part of ourselves, taking over and wanting to be what everyone wants and wanting to be a certain way to the point that we would go to any lengths to do so. A lot of different scenarios. Beauty is pain, it's misogyny. Women are expected to have certain looks forever. That's why, it even makes me think a little, I said all the different weight losses, things people do, even up to Ozempic, which has its side effects, to people, starving themselves, having actual health issues, and even to the point of mental health issues where they have to retrain themselves and get therapy to like take care of their bodies in a healthy way. We got all the way up to that point, and then we even get to the point of plastic surgery. It even makes me go to that level of how people will stretch and change their face, and they go to the doctor every so often, and sometimes a little too much, to alter their face, constantly trying to look better and constantly trying to be the next best thing, day after day, year after year. It definitely, all of that is kind of wrapped into this movie. But finally, to the point the young one takes advantage of her so much and keeps taking her fluid so she can have extra days. And the older part of her her source part never comes out to the light of day. So when she finally has to switch, because it's like a ominous phone number you call for help, like the customer service line or something. And it's like basically told her, whatever, the damage is kind of done, because when she wakes up as herself, the younger version of her is taking so much advantage of her. She looks like a monster, basically. If she's trying to get help, parts of her body are like just shriveling up. Looks like things are going to try to fall off of her body. It's just insane. But she has to stay that way. And it's like basically the damage is done. You can't really fix this. So it's crazy, but she continues to switch bodies with the young one so she can keep her status and her standards, even though it's not really her living that existence. And it's to the point of near death, or and just looking like a gremlin, her source self looking like a gremlin near death, so the beautiful part of her can live on and just and it's almost like it's her baby, her child on some level too, like where she wants her child to succeed or she wants herself to succeed. I mean, there's like a lot of different elements I see in this, but it's like to the point where she'll do anything for this younger version till finally she decides, okay, I'm near death here and I have to take control. This version of me, this new version is taking advantage and I might die. So there's like a default where you can switch everything back to the way it was and stop the whole process, but she's just gonna look kind of like a monster for the rest of her life, kind of basically. Look, she can get plastic surgery. I mean, we mentioned that, but anyway, she does the process to the point, and she has to kind of fight the girl to do this process. Like they're kind of have to battle for her to finish this process to stop her from switching with her and basically killing her. So when they do the when she does it, she stops. She almost finishes, but she stops at the last minute. Like I said, it's like she's trying to save this young version of herself, even still. And then the young version keeps taking fluid from her. Like I said, the fluid starts to get rancid. And she keeps trying to live on. Basically, the source version of herself is basically almost nothing, and the young one keeps taking fluid from her, leeching off of her life force, basically, until there's really nothing left. And so the young one tries to restart the whole process, even though the source person is basically almost non-existent at this point. But when she tries to restart the process, she turns into another kind of monster. And at this point, she's delusional. And she goes to this big event that she's supposed to end up going to, I think to win an award or something. This is like the moment, her big moment, so she can't miss this, but she goes looking like this monster, and she's kind of able to cover up to a point. And even she takes a poster of her young self and like tapes it on her body. It's like to the point she's like super delusional, and she kind of lost it basically at the end. And she goes out on stage, and first everyone claps until this paper image of herself like comes down and comes apart, and they see her true self, and everyone's just screaming and disgusted, and it's insane. And then she just I feel like she kind of blows up. And then I feel like she was crawling, part of her body was crawling to, I think, was it a Walk of Fame star or something? Whatever the case, it wasn't much of her left at the end of this whole thing. But I do feel like I remember her exploding, and I remember her trying to crawl to get to something, but it was like barely none of her left, and it collapsed, and basically she was nothing. And it's just to go through all of that for these vain moments, for other people to want you, like you, for fame, even for a job, it's not worth it. And where was her happiness? Where was her joy? It was just to please others, and her whole life was about people pleasing at the end of the day, and standing up or living up to a certain narrative of what a woman should be. They did have some nudity, they had some, sexy scenes with the workout, when she was doing work at the workout studio, and of course they were taping it like, they used to do those old workouts back in the day, and I guess people still do that. Maybe it could be on YouTube or something, like workout people that people follow, but it's like, to me, that part was like she was being over-sexualized, but it was like she liked it, and she liked the attention, and she wanted that, especially since she had her new young body. A lot of different things, a lot of different elements. It's like, hey, we don't want to be sexualized, and we don't want to be disrespected, but on some level, we like the attention. I guess that could be true on some point as well. It's a lot of things to unwrap, but I think people can take away what they will. You can, if you're a man, you can take away something from this movie. If you're a woman, you can take away something from this movie. If you're unattractive or if you're very attractive or somewhere in the middle, I think everyone can pick up a lesson or a point in this movie about beauty, about acceptance, about maybe the lengths that we go to, and maybe make you happy that you haven't gone through those lengths and you're just happy being yourself, because at the end of the day, it's really about your experiences, being happy with who you are. It's a lot of internal things that hold true happiness versus external and physical things. That's my opinion. I'm also coming from a faith-based background as a Christian, but I'm also just coming from just being a person and knowing that, the way I felt different times in my life, that to me is more memorable than the way I looked in that moment. I've never been like a super vain person. I did care about my looks and my beauty. I've kind of been a person that kind of blended in and almost felt like I was unseen a lot. So for me, the physical wasn't as important as how I felt in different moments and times in my life. And if I was happy or if I was sad or if I was depressed or if I had joy or if I had determination or hope, those are the things that really stand out to me versus did that person like me? Did that person hook up with me? Did that person choose me? Was my outfit cute enough? Was my look, appealing enough for the guys to give me attention? Was it appealing enough for someone to compliment me? Like, all of these things to me are vain. And we live in a society now where that's become more of the norm and people care more about how they're visually seen. But I do also see a mix and a blend of different things. I see people that are a little different, a little bit awkward, a little bit odd, and they're still representing on social media. They're getting love. I like to see all the different representations of people. And I feel like people are a little bit more open and free to be who they are, but then there's still always going to be people that are fiending for attention and love and fame and trying to be the next best thing and trying to be what society deems to be appealing. There's always going to be people trying to struggle to reach that level, and some make it, but it shows you like also, okay, you've made it to that level, but what do you have to do to keep it? What lengths do you have to go to keep all the fame, all the love? Now that it's become your world and your everything and kind of become an addiction to you, what lengths will you go to keep it? All right, so that's my thoughts on the substance. I want to thank my friend Cece. Check her out. Her information on the screen. Her social media, and support what she's doing. She's an artist. So check out what's going on with her. And thank you again for speaking on this topic. Thanks guys for listening. What are your thoughts, comments, questions? Email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com. Check us out on our other social platforms. Check out our merch gift shop. Go to cbiztvmedia.com, and we'll talk again next time. All the best. God bless.